Welcome once again to Game On with Alex Parr. We definitely hope you enjoyed yesterday's show, as Jiu-Jitsu was, believe it or not, some of the most fun I've had while hosting Game On. If you happen to miss the episode, don't worry though, as you'll be able to find it on Soo Online's and ONNtv's YouTube channel. Today, we speak with Ryan Vitry, head coach of the women's basketball team at Algoma University, as they are getting ready to start their preseason this weekend. We also welcome Matt into the studio as we discuss the Greyhounds as they get set to start their season tonight in Saginaw, and we take a look at the Leafs' preseason debut with John Tavares last night. Let's get into it. Another episode of Game On starts right after this. Welcome back to Game On. Today is the first day of the Greyhounds' brand new season, the 2018-2019 campaign. So of course, the man with the facts, the man with the stats, Matt Stefano is joining me now to tell me a little bit about what we should be expecting from this team, players to look out for, just a general overview of the team itself. So Matt, first off, let's talk about last season. Give me your thoughts overall on last season. Were you happy? Disappointed? What were your feelings after watching their playoffs?
Well, I was really happy because, we had a great season. We set a record for most wins with 55. We tied the OHL record for least losses in a regular season with 7. And we also set the team record for most points in a regular season with 116. But again, I'm disappointed with how it finished. Sure, we made it to the finals. We won the Wayne Gretzky Trophy for the Western Conference champions. But again, we should have won the cup because in the end, the best team did not win.
The best team during the regular season, of course. But now let's look ahead to today. They're getting their matchup in Saginaw today. What are your feelings going into this season? Would you use the same words like excited, optimistic, or would you have something else to say?
I think competitive is the word to describe this year's team, because when you look at the Hounds up front, we do have some talent returning. Sure, we lost, Taylor Radich, Boris Kachuk, and Jack Kapaka and Captain Tim Gettinger up front. But when you look at this year's roster, we have Morgan Frost. He had over 100 points last season. He became the first Greyhound to have 100-point season since Nick Cousins did back in 2013. Yep. And now Cousins is in the NHL, and he was also drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, just like Morgan Frost was. So again, when you look at this year's team, it's exciting to have Morgan Frost back because he was our top scorer last season. And then Barrett Hayton, he went 5th overall this year in the NHL draft by the Arizona Coyotes. He's going to put up some big numbers this year, getting more ice time. So when you look at those two, we got 2 20-goal scorers right there. But if Keegan Howdeshell, who's one of our overagers this year, he had 16 goals a season ago, and he attended Arizona Coyotes rookie camp this month. If he could have a 20-goal season, both him and Ryan Roth, that's going to help out with the offense up front over there. And defensively, we're good. And goaltending, we're going to be good with Matthew Villalta back.
And I want to talk about defense a little bit. Mac Hollowell, who led our team last year in points for a defenseman, he's also coming back. We've got our leading forward in scoring, we have our leading defenseman in scoring, and our starting goalie from last year. Do you think that this team can still get over that hump and win the OHL this season?
Oh, absolutely, because when you look at this year's team, we do have the tools to make ourselves a championship contender. And again, Mac Hollowell led us in goals last year with 12, led us in points last year, and he just got drafted this year as a 19-year-old, went 4th round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, how many 19-year-olds have we seen in the past get drafted to an NHL team? Andrew Campbell, Colin Miller. So Mac Hollowell, for him to be back as an overage this year, I think that's definitely going to help out a lot. And him being paired up with Jordan Sambrook, who didn't sign with the Detroit Red Wings this past summer, he ended up getting invited to the Columbus Blue Jackets training camp as a free agent, and he's going to help out a lot too because he's a guy that could really put the puck in the net as well.
And we've talked about the big names, the Frost, the Hollowells, the Villaltas, the big names, the ones that are household, if you will. But who are some players that you think really need to step up that haven't made a name for themselves yet?
I think the players that really need to step up for themselves, like one player I know that might have a breakout year this year is Joe Carroll. Like this is a guy that's coming into his second year. He was drafted by the Hounds in the 4th round last year. He comes in, scores 9 goals and 9 assists, and then he wins the Soo Greyhounds Most Improved Player Award at the banquet last year. So I think that this guy, like I've seen him play in preseason action this year, he's going to have a great season this year, I think. And if he could be a 20-goal scorer also, along with Howdeshell, Roth, and automatically Frost and Hayton, we've got a good chunk of offense up front right there.
Well, Matt believes in the guy, so that's definitely a good guy to have back in him when he knows stuff like that. So, Matt, thank you for speaking with us a little bit about the Greyhounds. And, of course, more Game On after this. And now we speak with Ryan Vitry, head coach of the Algoma Thunderbirds women's basketball team. He welcomed me to a practice on Tuesday where we took a look ahead to the team's preseason trip to Lakehead University in Thunder Bay. So with the preseason schedule coming up, what are some last-minute adjustments you guys are making, and what's the mindset headed into the weekend?
Really, we're just trying to focus on ourselves right now with the offense and the defense, trying to put certain things in. Again, no preseason games yet, so it's going to be a little bit of messy for the next couple weeks, but that's what preseason's for. Again, just trying to make some adjustments, trying to get a team defense, team offense, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish.
And what would be considered a successful weekend up in Thunder Bay?
For the team to compete, you know, working on our transition and stuff, and just do some of the stuff the coaches have been talking about, you know, specifically sprinting hard, all those little things, those little details, essentially, yes.
And who are some of the players we should actually be keeping an eye out for going into the season?
Again, we're a young team this year, but our one solo 5th-year kid is Karina Cole from Lincoln, Michigan. You know, you'd be watching her, and then, you know, we got about 2 4th-years this year, Carly Fracalanza and Madison Cameron. So those are our vets right there.
And just in case someone at home might not know, when will you guys be making your home debut so they can come out and root you guys on?
It's going to be the 3rd weekend of November. First 2 weekends we're away. Actually, the first 3 road games. 3rd weekend of November we'll be at home, and we're ready to rock.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome back to Game On, where I didn't let Matt stray too far away because I do have a few more questions to ask him when it comes to the wacky world of hockey, that things are just starting to get started up, and I think you can tell behind me what we're going to be talking about. Media loves to talk about the Leafs. We're part of the media. I guess we got to do it too. But let's talk about this first preseason game for the Leafs, where everybody's head's huge. Tavares had a 3.9. He scored 2 goals. But where should Leafs fans' heads be at?
Excited.
Yeah?
That's where I think they should be, because I think when you look at this year's team, everyone's excited for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think with Tavares on the team this year, they're going to have no problems putting the puck in the net. Like, look who they got. John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Patrick Marleau, Nazem Kadri. They got a good chunk of offense right there, and you could call them maybe, like, you know, I don't know if they're quite Stanley Cup contenders yet, though, but they're definitely a playoff team again this year.
One player you did miss on mentioning there was William Nylander.
William Nylander, but the thing is, the contract and negotiations, though, like, you know, is he going to get what he wants?
Or are the Leafs going to get what they want? It's rumored that he wants about $8 million for a long-term deal, and the Leafs are looking more like $6 million for a bridge deal, which would be about 2 to 3 years. Do you think Nylander's going to be suited up for the first game this season?
Well, it's hard to say at this point, because I think that if they could negotiate something before it starts, I think he will suit up. But if he doesn't get what he wants, I think he's going to be sitting out the first game. Hate to say it.
I hate to say it too. But do you think there ever comes a point where if Nylander holds out for so long, they'll be looking at trading him? I mean, the one topic everybody's talked about with the Leafs is their defense is lacking. If you look at a team that's built to win the Stanley Cup, you probably wouldn't copy and paste the Leafs defense. I know it's probably not going to happen, but do you see Dubas pulling the trigger on a Nylander trade for another defenseman?
No, I wouldn't say he's going to trade William Nylander. I think that maybe he's going to try to trade someone that's playing in the AHL with the Toronto Marlies, and maybe he'll use one of those prospects of the Leafs to, like, work out a trade and maybe add a few picks to get a veteran defenseman. Because when you look at Toronto's defense, like, sure, they have Jake Gardiner, sure, they have Zaitsev, sure, they have Morgan Rielly, but they need another good defenseman to be serious Stanley Cup contenders.
Especially on that right side, too. Like Rielly and Gardiner, two of the men you just mentioned, are from that left side, and those spots are going to be kind of taken up. It's the right side that the spots are really up for grabs. But let's not talk about the players who aren't there and possible trades. Let's talk about the game last night. What was your takeaway from the game? How did you think the Leafs meshed together? And maybe let's talk a little bit about Tavares and Marner's chemistry.
Oh, I thought Tavares and Marner, they had great chemistry last night. And look at Tavares. Couple goals, 1 assist, and he treated Kraft Hockeyville to a great game. And you know what? The fans were happy to see him. And Dubas, he spoke well last night in the interview. And when people look at Kyle Dubas, and then when people look at the team on the ice, they know they're in good hands. And that's why when the Leafs hired Dubas back in summer of 2014, they knew what they were doing when they got this young guy, because he's good with analytics. And when you look at the teams he built with the Greyhounds, and not taking anything away from Kyle Raftis, because he's drafted well, he's traded well, and him and Dubas both share the credit over the past few years. But that's how good Dubas is. Like, you could say that he played a good part in helping the Greyhounds this past year to making it to the finals, because a lot of those players, again, going to the Greyhounds now, like, he drafted Tim Gettinger, he drafted Jack Kopaka, he drafted Boris Kachuk, and those three really helped us. And Connor Timmins.
Can't forget him,
on the blue line.
Now, we are running a little bit short on time here, but one question I have for you, if we can keep that answer a little bit short, is the backup situation for the Leafs. They've had McElhaney the last 2-3 seasons, I believe now, and he's done great. He's done nothing where he's went in and got really shelled to the point where I feel like he shouldn't be there. Garrett Sparks just won the AHL Calder Trophy. He was the AHL Goalie of the Year last year. You also have a guy like Calvin Pickard who's, chomping at the bit to get in there and get some reps. First day of the season, who's the Leafs' backup goalie? Who would you say it is?
It's a tough decision, but at this point I'd have to say maybe Garrett Sparks, because he's played good anytime he got called up for the Leafs. Not to mention he recorded a shutout in his very first NHL game played, and I remember how happy he was about that. So at this point I'd say Garrett Sparks is the man.
I would say he's got a pretty good chance at making it. I think it's going to be until McElhaney kind of starts to falter, maybe has a couple back-to-back games where he doesn't perform so well, and then we'll see if Garrett can do it, because I feel like for him what's going to be best is splitting the time between the AHL and the NHL this season. He took a little bit of a longer path to get to where he is, but the goalie and the man that they've built him to be is absolutely fantastic. But these are all questions that are going to be answered come the season beginning in early October. So, I mean, as us in the media, we'll be really excited to see who gets picked, because that's another story for us. But until then, I thank you for watching Game On, and there will be more after this. Here we are, the end to another episode of Game On. Now, I may sound like a broken record, but don't forget, you can catch Matt and myself behind the desk every Tuesday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. And if you can't make it then, the full episodes are uploaded to YouTube. We again thank Ryan for welcoming myself into the gym to speak with him during a practice, and we will be for sure catching up with him throughout the season. And now we thank you for tuning in to Game On, and we will see you again tomorrow. Good night, everybody. I heard a rumor that if you click right here, or if you click right here, you're gonna watch more Game On content. I don't know who said it. It's just a rumor. If anybody asks who told you, it was Matt, okay? Okay, I gotta go.